In this video, I'm going to tell you about how living in Dumaguete has been for my 1-year anniversary here in Dumaguete. Stay tuned. All right, so it has been 1 year since I got to Dumaguete. I got here in October of last year, October 2019. Now, I never meant to stay here 1 year, but unfortunately, with circumstances, I ended up being here 1 year due to the whole lockdown and everything. Again, originally, I was kind of hopping around island to island. Later, I was planning on going to Malaysia, and I ended up getting locked down. So 1 year here, what do I think of Dumaguete? And I'm going to try not to base this on my experience of being locked down, but I'm just my general experience of Dumaguete. Now, when I originally got here, I thought originally, I said, this thing is just way too crowded as far as expats and tourists. Dumaguete is a really popular spot for a lot of expats to come live. It's also very popular as a tourist destination. And so the city itself, which is not a real big city, but when you do go into the city, it is often very crowded. I think I heard a number of 2,500 tricycles, and then motorbikes and jeepneys and cars, and then you throw in all the tourists who are renting out motorbikes and everything, and it's quite congested. Traffic is bad. With that, the pollution and the dust and dirt and everything being kicked up is pretty bad. But once you get out of Dumaguete, it opens up into just a lot of natural beauty. You got great waterfalls, there's hiking. You can go up to Valencia, which is great for a lot of expats, foreigners like to live there. It's the cooler weather, and you got a variety of different cities that are outside of Dumaguete as well. Like you got Darwin and Zamboanguita, and these are kind of like scuba diving paradises, kind of like beach towns. And you go further up, there's even a white sand beach called at a place called Turtle Island. So as far as things to do, it's fantastic. It's a really good central location. So Dumaguete is kind of right in a spot where you can bounce right over to Bohol. It's only like an hour away. You've got Siquijor. All over Negros is wide open to you. You can hop over to, like I said, Siquijor, Bohol, Cebu, even Mindanao is just like a 3-hour boat ride across if you want to head over to Dipolo or Dapitan. So as far as central location, it's great. You're kind of hidden here as far as typhoons go, so you're not really hit by typhoons. That's more of the Luzon area. That's also the Samar and Leyte area that kind of gets hit by the typhoons. Mindanao, you get the earthquakes, unfortunately. So that's my review as far as, there's pollution, but there's a lot of great nature, great central location. With it being an expat and tourist destination, I do find that there's a lot of great restaurants around, relatively inexpensive. So there's a variety of different food throughout Dumaguete, and that is pretty nice. So you'll never go hungry here, that's for sure. There are some places where you can buy exported groceries and stuff, things from overseas. There's a Swiss grocery that I know that has a variety of goods and deli meats and cheeses. So there's a lot of good stuff here, as far as food. And again, a lot of people that live here, they'll head over to Cebu like once a month, and they'll stock up at one of these warehouse stores like S&R or Landers and bring their food back over. Another thing is apartments. There are a variety of apartments in a variety of different price ranges all over Dumaguete and outside and surrounding cities. And that's fantastic too. You can go anywhere from a couple $100, really, to $800. There is one condo being built here, Marina Spatial Condo, and I've looked at it, and it's okay. It's the pool's not open right now because of the lockdown, but the pool is there's a pool, there's a gym. It's right next to a bunch of restaurants near the sea. Not a place where you can go swimming or anything as far as the ocean goes, but it does have a nice pool, a nice gym. And when that does get up and running after the lockdown here, it'll be a pretty decent location as well. But housing, big variety as well. Now, if anybody watches my videos, I'm not a huge fan of just tons of foreigners and tourists in one area. I think you kind of lose the vibe of the Philippines. You know, I think a lot of us come here, we come to the Philippines and we want to be, enjoy, you know, the really nice personalities and friendliness of Filipinos. And I think that gets watered down a bit when you get into these areas that have so many foreigners and tourists running around. So me personally, now a lot of people will find comfort and like being around a lot of foreigners, and that's okay if you do. Me personally, I like to get out in the areas that there's not so many foreigners, so I can interact with the Filipinos, you know, and just enjoy that, because that's why I came out here really. I do like to hang out with foreigners and meet up for coffee and things like that. In fact, before this whole lockdown occurred, I was actually meeting with foreigners all the time. We were, you know, meeting up for coffee whenever they came into town, and I did that in Cebu, Davao, Cagayan de Oro, General Santos, Bohol, and then here. So I have met a variety of different foreigners throughout the last year or so, and that was fantastic. So we got great nature, great location, food, you know, housing. As far as hospitals, there are a variety of hospitals here within Dumaguete. You get outside of Dumaguete, and it's not so good. There's just some small little clinics. And I made a video on this. You know, if you get hurt and you're living way out of town and you need an ambulance or something, well, good luck, because it's going to take quite a long time. But within the city here, there are a few good hospitals, and Cebu's not that far. If you had some major catastrophe, I guess you could get over to Cebu. So there are hospitals here, and that's not too bad. And I do, like I said in a previous video, likely at some point you'll want to get health insurance, and health insurance is probably going to be a mandatory thing, I think. When things do open up internationally, several countries have already hinted and said this, and even implemented it when they do open it up. You can get the quote down in the links down below there, so just check that out. As far as dating, well, I met my girlfriend Ging here, and she is from about 2 hours outside of Dumaguete. So within Dumaguete, I think that they are just so used to foreigners, and maybe some of them that are really on the dating sites here have kind of been around the gambit. They've dated a few foreigners, and a lot of guys are really looking for like a province type girl. And if you want that, that's easily found. You just kind of have to go outside of Dumaguete, get into the little towns, surrounding towns, and Bayawan and Zamboanguita and places like that, and you can easily find a good girl. You can hop across the pond over to Mindanao to Dipolog, just a 3-hour boat ride, and so there are some great options. I mean, whenever you're in the Philippines, you can find some great options as far as dating goes. So I think honestly, I've covered about everything. You know, if I did it again, I probably would not still be here. But a lot of people really like Dumaguete. Some of the negatives for me is the brownouts are just nonstop. Now, they call it a brownout here. Now, in the U.S. and the West, we call it a blackout or power outage. But they call it a brownout because it usually happens during the day, and so it gives you not the blackness but the brown. So they call it a brownout. And that happens just way too frequently for me. Sure, there are ways around it. If you do end up renting a place, you can look for a place with a generator. You can get the battery pack backups for your laptop and your router, TV, so you don't have to be totally interrupted and life can go on. But it's just happened too many times. Water outages, internet outages, you add all that up, and it can be quite frustrating. The last power outage we had lasted all day from 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m. at night, and people are just going all over the city, outside the city. It actually happened in 5 cities, so people were just crowding into places that had a generator, like a coffee shop, and even they couldn't cook any food or anything. They could just serve coffee. You went to the water park to cool off, and it was just basically overrun and full. You couldn't even get in. And again, these things are just quite common here. Again, there are ways around it. You can get a generator, rent out a place that's got a generator, get the battery backup so you can plug your laptop, TV, router in, and that's going to help out a little bit as well. So another thing, I already mentioned, I don't really like a ton of tourists, and this is kind of a jumping off point for a lot of tourists. Right now we're in the middle of the lockdown, but when tourists were coming here on a regular basis, then a lot of tourists would come here. They would come here for a night or two, see some of the sites, hop off to Secure, maybe bounce over to Bohol, Cebu, and just a bunch of different places. Apo Island. There's a lot of scuba diving here, so you just get an influx of tourists, and you know, that's sometimes frustrating as well. So Dumaguete, as far as me, if I was ranking it on a 1 to 10, I would probably give it about a 7. There are a lot of positives and there are some negatives, like any place. But for a lot of people, they're going to love Dumaguete. They'll probably like Valencia and Darwin better. You can live right outside the Dumaguete, live in a beach town, or live up in the mountains with cooler weather. So there are a lot of great options around here. So, guys, questions, comments, go ahead and let me know down below. Now is also a great time to find a great single Filipina. I mean, there's more than ever they're online. Christian Filipina is the one I usually recommend because they really do a good job weeding out the scammers and girls asking for money. You don't really find that too much there. Check out the link down below. Check out the link for the health insurance. Guys, check out my Patreon. I've got like over 50 some videos all around the Philippines, and house hunting, apartment hunting, dating, things like that. So guys, check it out, and I'll see you next time.